Hello, welcome back everybody. First of all, I want to say sorry for the possibility of the length of this video, but I have been working on a tutorial it was basically for Chaos Space Marines boarding actions, but now 10th edition came along and it doesn't matter anymore. So instead, I want to go through a little bit about what has changed with Chaos Space Marines, what units I use, what has happened to them, and well, I mean, basically everything. So I'm comparing the book from 9th edition with 10th edition Army Rules, which doesn't have a print yet. So yeah, let's get started. Hopefully this is not going to take too long. So first of all, Let the Galaxy Burn that we used for every battle round, it's gone. Instead, what we have is this whole Dark Pact ability, and I was really scratching my head about it at the beginning because it's like, oh, okay, it's very chaosy, I take damage, I make more damage, possibly, potentially. And what we got is lethal hits and sustained hits these days. And when I was actually playing boarding actions, I never really used any of the, let's see here. I didn't really use any Marks of Chaos because I thought they were very expensive. Didn't quite give me the boost that I needed. And besides, if you actually wanted a 2-set bonus of the Marks of Chaos, you had to spend an additional 5 points, provided that your unit could actually carry a icon. So in the end, what was that? Like 20 extra points for every mark on your unit that you wanted it on. In boarding actions, you only had 500 points to play with, so didn't really use Marks of Chaos. And I also played the Creations of Bile faction along with Fabius Bile himself, and he can't give them his boost if they actually have a Mark of Chaos. But now in 10th edition, Mark of Chaos is actually needed for basically every unit that you have. So depending on which unit you apply your Mark of Chaos keyword on, it actually matters if you have the lethal hit or sustained hit ability. It gives a little bit of a boost, which is actually quite nice, I would say. So let's carry on. Okay, so yeah, stratagems. Now, I'm not going to go through everything. And I am so sorry to say that, I mean, like, look at all these beautiful factions, or the legions. And we have stratagems for them. And then we had even more stratagems somewhere in here. Yeah, here we go. Like, I really miss stratagems. I really, really do, because I actually play these. I actually used my stratagems, and I used so many stratagems that I was actually struggling with keeping up my command points. So, I mean, but they actually kind of picked out the good ones, I would say. For instance, like Eternal Hate was basically just fight again. Or it was Hatred Eternal, was it? Yeah. But nowadays, that stratagem kind of works the same way as the Creations of Bile. You know, on a 4+ they actually come back to life and fight again. That was actually the reason why I played the Creations of Bile in boarding actions, because you got your +1 in movement, +1 in strength, and on a 4+ ability, 4+ roll when they died, in melee combat, they were actually able to fight again before they were removed from play. So it's not a legion trait anymore, because we don't have legions. It's a stratagem these days. And Profane Seal, yeah, is also a stratagem these days, which was actually the Wordbearer's legion trait. Before I move on, I'm so sorry to see that the legions have actually vanished, that we don't have legions anymore, and especially for all of you like Night Lord players, I know you guys are probably suffering the most. Iron Warriors as well, and even the Black Legion themselves, and I don't know if they're gonna come back or what they're gonna do with them. I kind of miss them, because every legion really had their own play style. But for certain, the Emperor's Children is going to become the next Chaos Army, for certain, because that's the only god faction we're missing right now, Slaanesh. But yeah, carrying on. So stratagems are definitely, there are very few of them. How many are there? There are three, yeah, six of them. But and as we don't have a psyker phase anymore, which I also think is I don't know, I haven't played that much 10th edition yet, so I'm not quite sure what to say about it as of yet. Now psychic abilities are basically either in your attacks, command phases, or abilities, and so on. So like the Pact of Flesh, which is basically allows you to heal and resurrect, is now something called Skin Shift, which is a one point command point stratagem cost. And whenever I was using Marks of Chaos, I actually used I'm probably butchering this name, but the Thench Mark of Chaos, which allowed me the Scions of Faith to give a blessing that gave you a 4+ invulnerable save. Now Abaddon actually has that as a warlord trait. So these things, they're still around. It just really matters what you use and how you play. Because I mean, before you could actually spend like 20 points or something to upgrade your legionnaires to have the psyker keyword. And you could also play the stratagem the Great Sorcerer, which allowed you to play an extra psychic ability. So there was no difference really between a sorcerer and a legionnaire with basically a psyker upgrade. So now it matters. Now it really matters which characters you actually bring on to the table. Now we got enhancements instead, and I was kind of seeing that coming with the Arcs of Omen books. So we don't really have warlord traits anymore. That's okay, but they're bound to the Marks of Chaos. That's why Marks of Chaos now matters. So let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna pick out some units here that I actually used and talk a little bit about them. I see that the Demon Prince actually got some really nice upgrades, and like Abaddon works quite differently these days. He was very hard to kill here in 9th edition. Almost to that point where you kind of feel guilty to play with him because nobody stood a chance. But yeah, I think I'm going to start off with some of my HQ units. So my first HQ choice was actually Fabulous Bile himself, and his trusted little eagle character. He was in 9th edition and still is actually a very good melee fighter. So he was excellent to have in boarding actions. And back then, he kind of had this ability called Enhanced Warriors, which allowed you to either give +1 strength, +1 toughness, which was fantastic. I always gave that to my Terminators because Terminators had 4 in toughness. Now they had 5. Or you could give them an additional attack. Now, he has that as an enhanced warrior whenever he is applied to a unit that he leads. So this is still around. It's just very much more simplified. And he's still very good support hero. I know a lot of people actually think he's completely useless. Some people were actually talking about please remove him from the game because he's that useless. But I disagree. I strongly disagree. I think he's one of the strongest, most underappreciated support heroes, for sure. So he still has the whole thing with like feel no pain. It's called feel no pain like these days, but he can actually like absorb damage if he takes them. So very good support hero in boarding actions on the big battlefield. Yet to see how he plays out now when you kind of attach him to a unit into which he leads. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Actually. Oh yeah, we have the next is the Master of Possession. I don't have the model, so I have to play with my sorcerer instead. He plays the Master of Possession role. No real changes there, I would say. He's pretty much the same thing. I mean, it's just again that his Witchfire is now a psychic ability. He still has his 5+ invulnerable save, and he can lead. What can he lead? He can lead Chosen Legionnaires and Possessed. And it's actually quite nice that these days he has a 8-inch in movement, which makes it possible for him to keep up with the Possessed. Unfortunately, the whole, maybe I haven't found it yet, but the whole Mutated Invigoration spell that he used to have, or Blessing, it's kind of gone, but basically it gives like a Feel No Pain 6+ instead. So yeah, I mean, he's still a very, very good Psyker unit, but there's definitely been a lot of changes to him. Let's see, what else do we got? Yeah, we got the Sorcerer, of course, which is also pretty much, I mean, yeah, he got, I mean, the Sorcerer, this is what I'm talking about. It really matters which character units you actually use these days. Like I said before, this one, or even the Sorcerer and Terminator armor, they were pretty much the same thing as if you upgraded a Legionnaire to have the psychic abilities. So Sorcerer is still quite nice. Now, the Sorcerer in Terminator armor, however, and I really hope we get a new model this year, maybe, not, maybe. Because this model is from 2006, I believe. And I done some changes to it, of course, but yeah, still. But he is finally a Terminator with 5 in toughness, a 4+ invulnerable save. And he can lead Terminator and Terminator Squad, of course. So the Sorcerer and Terminator armor really got some upgrades. We still don't know anything about the point cost or anything, but I feel like the familiar, the case familiar, should come free with him. But yeah, we'll see. Okay, so for boarding actions, I actually got this guy, the Warpsmith. Hang on, the Warpsmith. I used him because he's actually pretty badass. He's a good fighter, and he carries 3 pistols that he can use within engagement range. So he was actually very, very helpful. This guy also played as a Sorcerer and Terminator armor sometimes, so he had many roles. But what is very, very interesting about the Warpsmith these days is that, I don't know if you guys have noticed this yet, but if you actually go over to the Chaos Knights army book, there's something called Dreadblades. I'm reading from the Dreadblades here. If every model in your army has the Chaos keyword, which every model has these days, including Chaos Knights, Warpsmith, everyone, you can include either 1 Titanic Chaos Knight model or up to 3 War Dog models in your army, even if they don't have the same faction keyword. Okay, so this is really, really interesting. These days, you can actually have Chaos Knights in your Chaos Space Marine army. And what is more interesting is, I'm going to go back to the Warpsmith, is that the he doesn't need to be attached to a unit. He can actually use the lone operator, but as long as he is within 3 inches of a heretic starter vehicle, which the Chaos Knights are, he can now either give them generate 3 D3 lost wounds, and they can reroll hit rolls of 1. So this fella, along with your Chaos Knights, that is going to be very, very interesting when people start realizing they can use Chaos Knights and Chaos Space Marines in the same army, finally. It's going to be awesome to see when they release the Crusade rules for all of these armies, how that will play out. But yeah, the Warpsmith, I knew he was going to come around. I mean, he's a very, very good unit. But yeah, things just got a little bit more interesting. Carry on. The Dark Apostle, I haven't gotten around to this guy yet. He's definitely going to be one of my next investments. He works very differently these days. And I was looking at the Dark Commune for a while because, well, in boarding actions, you're allowed to use the Dark Commune and another HQ. And they were only like 100 points, but honestly, they were pretty bad, even in 9th edition. I think they actually got worse in 10th edition. It just doesn't make any sense to me anymore. Because before they removed the whole psychic phase, you actually had a priest and a psyker, and now they're pretty much just the same unit. And I don't know. It's such a strange unit. I was actually hoping that they would have changed a lot of things with these, but they did not. Moving on to Legionnaires. Well, I have two different Legionnaires. I got one unit of Legionnaires that are like my firing squad, and they pretty much have the same like war gear options as before. So it's just that the whole Balefire that actually gave you the psychic keyword, and I mean it just doesn't do anything anymore. So I mean, yeah. And I actually had these guys as the Creations of Bile melee unit. So these guys are going to be going with Fabius Bile. He's going to be leading this unit, so they actually get +1 in strength, and I believe they actually get +1 strength, +1 movement, or was it toughness? I don't remember. But either way, if Fabius Bile actually lead a Space Marine unit, they become very, very vicious, very, very powerful. So that's going to be interesting. To see how the whole enhanced warrior trait is going to play out. They're not going to be the Legionnaires. Sorry, I'm just going to turn page. The Legionnaires are no longer really that interesting in terms of the fact that they can be a psyker unit. So, yeah, used to be interesting. Cultists, haven't really gotten to around to those guys, but they're also one of my next units to invest in. I mean, they're good for one thing and one thing only, which is dying. So if they can, I don't know, secure an objective, that would be awesome. However, the Accursed Cultists, let's see here. The mutants are done, as some of you might have seen. But my torments, they're still on the painting table, so I'm still painting these. Yeah. But the Accursed Cultists, I mean, they were very powerful even back then, in 9th edition. But these days, I mean, they're pretty much immortal. They no longer have this restriction that they cannot perform actions. And I mean, I'm reading for the 10th edition here. At the start of each player's command phase, you can return either 1 destroyed torment model or up to 3 destroyed mutant models in this unit. Each player's command phase. So basically, they're immortal now. They're going to be very difficult to deal with for non-chaos players. Very difficult to play against. Pretty much same thing. Dark Pact, Feel No Pain, and yeah, they return. They keep coming back. I don't know the costs, the point cost of them yet, but if it's anything like in the 9th edition, it's definitely worth it. Definitely worth it. And when you play boarding actions, you actually had to split the torments and the mutants. And the torments, I mean, they're very strong for being a non-elite unit. So yeah. And of course, here we go. Terminators. So where are you? Terminators have finally gotten a 5 in toughness and a 4+ invulnerable save. About damn time, if you ask me. I just need a couple of more Terminators because I only have 5, and they tend to die quite easily. But apart from that, they're pretty much the same unit still, except for the part that they have a 5 in toughness and 4+ invulnerable save, so which is absolutely fantastic. But yeah. Oh yeah, the Possessed. This is one of my go-to units. I love the Possessed. They're absolutely amazing. They are viciously fast. They are tough, they are strong, and a lot of attacks. However, they got a little bit of a nerf in 10th edition. So they still move 9 inches. They have, instead of 5 in toughness, they have 6 now. Save roll is the same. The invulnerable save of 5+ is still around. But there's definitely been a nerf in their Hideous Mutation. So they used to have 5 and 6 attacks. Now there's no leaders anymore, so yeah. So these days they only have 5 attacks. And let's see, it's the AP is 1, damage too. So yeah, they got a little bit nerfed. But and they no longer have the fearsome aura ability. So if you ever play them with Night Lords, well, sorry about that. That's gone. So tough luck. But the Possessed is an amazing unit. You should really consider playing them if you haven't. Chosen, they are pretty much the same as always. Still a lot of wargear options. It's like elite Space Marines basically. I mean, if you allow these guys to go with Abaddon, they can actually achieve a 4+ invulnerable save. The Chosen is a very underappreciated unit, I think. They are very, very strong, and I love to use these guys. They are fantastic, actually. So, yeah. Very much like those guys. Yeah, Noise Marines. They are... I hope that they actually get an upgrade once the Emperor Children army is released. Because right now we have this hideous model that doesn't look anything like a Noise Marine, to be honest. Maybe back in the 1980s, but yeah. But they definitely need a little bit of an upgrade. Let's see, do I have any other units that I'm currently using? I never used any real heavy support units. Chaos Spawns are definitely interesting. Also a unit I'm considering, but like the heavy support units and the fast attacks, I never... You can't use any of these in boarding actions, but if you play on the bigger field, of course you can use them. But I never really saw any true benefits of using them, not so far at least. Yeah, and of course you got your tanks and all that, but like your demon engines, they were only basically useful when you had a Warpsmith. But now you can actually use the Warpsmith with Chaos Knights, which is very, very interesting, for sure. Let's see what else we got. Yeah, we got your Chaosborn, and we got your Lord of Skulls and all that. Yeah, Vashtor, of course, he's not in this book, but he's probably going to get his Dark Mechanicum army maybe next year, who knows. And what's pretty cool that we actually got some Traitor Guardsman squads, we got some Felgor Beastmen, Traitor Enforcer. It's strange that I haven't seen the, what are they named again? The Gilpox? Something like that, yeah. From Nurgle, I haven't seen those yet. And there's definitely been a lot of changes here with the weapons. So I'm glad I don't have to go back and forth with this anymore. It's all included in the 10th edition on the data sheets of each unit. So yeah, those are the units that I actually kind of use, what I play. And like I said, I mean, there's been a lot of changes here with Marks of Chaos, and the stratagems and the legions are gone, it seems. And there's no more relics. I don't know about Crusade rules yet. The psychic abilities are pretty much gone, but still there, sort of, kind of, depending on who you bring to the battlefield. Same with the Dark Apostle. I haven't really looked into all the changes, but all of this I know doesn't quite exist anymore. It's different, very, very different. But yeah, Marks of Chaos definitely something I'm gonna have to look into a bit more, how they play with like the enhancements nowadays. And I'm actually kind of happy that we don't have to use this Let the Galaxy Burn ability anymore. That we can do a Dark Pact instead, and depending on the Mark of Chaos, we get some bonuses. So yeah, and the fact that we can finally use Chaos Knights with the Chaos Army, it makes sense, right? So, but again, I don't know, the Legions, maybe we'll get them later. I don't know, if anybody knows anything about that, then please let me know, so that would be swell. Okay, that's just a very quick update on what I play with, how it's changed from 9th edition to 10th edition. As soon as they release a codex, I'm gonna get the new codex and have a look through that. So yeah, cool stuff. Let me guys, tell me what you think about 10th edition so far, if you even had time to play it. The benefits, losses of your units, abilities, and so on. It would be nice to hear what you guys think. All your thoughts are welcome. Okay, thank you for tuning in. That was just a very quick update, and things have changed a lot from 9 to 10, so my strategy guides are no longer viable. Okay, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.